We're talking to Jon Tatooles out at Sound Devices, and I have the 664 here, John, and thank you very much. And I just had a couple of questions, but first, what I'd like you to do is kind of give us an update. Here we are at the end of January the 22nd.
Yep.
What can you tell me about the 664? Any updates or anything like that people should know?
As you know, we first introduced it in September out at IBC and began shipping at the end of October. And since then, it's been well received. We've had a good, solid response to it from end users and our resellers worldwide. It's getting use in lots of productions as we speak, so it's gaining some market success.
Yeah, I know they're filtering into Baltimore now. I know one guy who's got one guy who's I think standing around the mailbox right now waiting for his to show up.
Sure.
One of the things I noticed was in looking at the manual and looking at the gear, it seems to me that you guys have been hanging out with some major motion picture people because the feature set is definitely up there. How long did it take for you to develop what would eventually become the 664?
Well, you know, the 664, the product and the product definition came out really of the 552, and that was a lot of people love the 552, love its simplicity, its approachability. You know, you have a control for each of the different functions. It's really accessible. The things they wanted in this 552 or wanted more of the 552 is there's a setup menu that has a fair bit of power, and we have Sven, which is the speech synthesis tool that's on board the 552, and it doesn't really work great for everybody. For some people, it works just fine. But with the 664, with its nice display, we were able to present all these features in a really easy way. So with that display, we also allowed more powerful metadata entry, track naming, things like that were impractical on a 552 that simply has 2 LED meters. So that display enabled a bunch of things for us. The other things that people were asking for in the 664 was, or from the 552, where they were saying, you know, love that I can record 2, but, you know, I'm getting calls,
right, even
for simple jobs, for ISO recording.
For 3, 4, or more.
Yes. So they were pairing up their 744s and bringing out 702Ts, and that had good success for them, but that's another piece of equipment, that's another battery to manage, and what we realized is, you know, this is where things are going to go. So as we evolve these products, you know, we recognize that, yeah, the 664 replaces somebody with a 552 and a 744. That's 2 pieces of equipment, but
right,
but that's fine. We've got to respond to the market and present the best product for them. So we really didn't hold back. And if you look at the feature set, yes, you're right. It's quite powerful. It's got a full timecode circuitry. Right. It has ISO recording. And in some ways, it can substitute in some applications for products like our own 788. Right. But in other ways, it doesn't quite do that as well. So there's applications where the 664 is appropriate. There's applications where other products may be more suited.
And can you join the 788 with the 664 for inputs?
You can. Remember that you can connect with word clock and you can synchronize the 2 devices, but you're always going to have your files on each of those separate devices. Right. So 664 files coming into that device record to the 664, 788 obviously to its own internal drives and compact flash card.
What has popped up that was unexpected that you had to address after it got out?
I think one of the first things was that when we presented the 664, I think we didn't realize that people were so quickly willing to make the change from their existing kit to a 664. And you know, so we got caught off guard from people who were ready to upgrade, ready to move on to multi-track recording. Mm-hmm. And we're in the process of, you know, being more successful filling orders, but you know, that put us behind, and that definitely caught us off guard. So we underestimated how quickly people were ready to evolve and change their workflows and really go multi-track.
Cool. So as I said here earlier, here we are at the end of January. What do you see for the first quarter, the first half of this year with the 664 or anything else out there at Sound Devices?
The 664 is, like our other recorders, is a pretty powerful hardware platform. So we're able to continue to evolve the product, and just like any 1.0 release, the reality of these products is these are very complex products.
Absolutely.
And while we spend a lot of time testing, and we have our own, we have a guy that we call the Bug Whisperer, and his job is simply to exhaustively test it in all environments with all possible interconnections. But the fact is, we simply can't anticipate every application that this is used in. So we've learned some scenarios where we've got bugs, and I'm certain that we will continue to have minor bugs. That's just the nature of these complex pieces. But we do have our system in place, and we were continuing to update that. Right. So
one of the nice things about the way you handle stuff at Sound Devices, I think, is that you're probably the most open-handed company I've seen in the market. When there's a problem, it's out there. Everybody looks at it. It's on the website. You know it. You address it. It goes away.
Well, the nature of these things is, these are not consumer products. These are professionals using these things. And if you're a professional, you just need to know what the limitations are, right, and then you can work around it.
Right.
So if you know that in this scenario, this may be an issue, well, you'll work around that, and you'll plan your strategy to approach your production so that you can get around that.
So let me ask you about battery life. I think one of my friends here in Baltimore mentioned that he thought that, and I guess he was using the 5 AA's. He said, wow, they really, if you're doing some stuff, it sucks them down really fast. And I said, well, I don't know what you're doing, Bill, but if you got 6 mics running, sucking down Phantom, and you're also recording 6 or 8 tracks, I don't know what the power consumption on that is, but can you give the people who are looking at this right now, John, an idea of what to expect from power consumption?
That's going to vary widely depending on how many microphones are being powered with Phantom, or if you're using AES-42 power, things like that.
Yeah.
So, or if you're recording to 2 cards, the real power draw is going to be, Phantom power and the input side of it. The recording doesn't it doesn't draw a whole lot more power, but when the recording system is engaged, your current draw is going to go up. Mm-hmm. One thing to note on the 552 versus the 664. Well, actually, all of these products benefit by using nickel metal hydride based AA batteries. Right. The internal resistance on a AA primary cell, an alkaline cell, is higher than it is for these nickel metal hydrides. They have lower internal resistance, so you're going to get better power capability out of the rechargeable cells, and you're going to get much better runtime. So sometimes up to twice the runtime. So where you may have run AA batteries as an emergency on your 552, and you've got a bag solution, you can still certainly do that, but the 664 is going to be drawing about the same amount of power relative to the number of cells. So even adding that 5th cell, you get similar runtime between a 552 and a 664 from batteries.
Cool. Anything else you can toss in there?
We're constantly looking at the system and making it more and more robust. We've recently put out 1.03, which is the most recent firmware, and that largely was a bug fix. Added a couple of minor features, some shortcuts and things like that to get into the track naming. And it's remarkable that even on some of the traditional mixer-oriented projects that may not necessarily been recorder-oriented projects, as I was saying, more people are looking for multi-track.
Sure.
We're hearing lots of customers saying, "Oh yeah, having a shortcut so I can name tracks that I'm delivering is really important." So we've added some of those tools and made it simple. So right from the input setting menu, you can now name that input track.
Sure.
And in the past, it used to be a couple microphones. You'd mix it on your mixer. You plug it in a camera.
Right.
Then you get a return.
Right.
And that would be it. And now we're seeing even simple setups. Yeah, you got a couple mics, but now everybody that's going to be producing any kind of sound has a microphone on them.
Right.
They've got these massive, some of these bags are pretty massive because of all the wireless receivers. We're multi-tracking, and we're feeding multiple cameras.
Right.
You know, even the simple single camera shoot. Oh yeah, it's a single camera shoot, but we also have a B camera. It's over here. Oh, we got a DSLR. We've got a GoPro up here.
Sure.
You know, they're becoming multi-camera shoots.
Sure.
So it's, you know, it's as this technology is becoming accessible, as post-production can handle this stuff and do syncing, and they're looking for these alternate files. They're looking for the ISOs.
Cool.
And
I think probably also you've got a possibility in the music industry, because you can take, if you got the 12 tracks, take that out, lash it up to a music console, a live venue, and you know, maybe you'd need more than that, but maybe you wouldn't in certain situations. And you can record a music group live, take it back to the studio, mix it down, and squirt it back out, and mix it, connect it with the camera video, and now you got your music video.
Right. Yeah. So there's lots of possibilities with the product, and we're just, you know, our real focus has been on the production world, and we certainly know that our products go into other markets, and you know, the 788T is very popular for concert recording because it's got
Sure.
you know, superb preamplifiers, and people use it for, you know, classical music recording. But you know, the feature set and the presentation of the 664 is really designed for that field production application, and really to take somebody who's used to an analog mixer and give that same paradigm.
Yep.
So if you look at it, it's, you know, we introduced the 442 back in, you know, 2000. And here we are 12 years later. And if you take a 442 and you move from that to a 664, it's really, you know, a very similar
Yep.
structure, and you'll be comfortable with it right away, and you can have success with it right away. And I think that's some of the power of why the 664 has been well received, because there's a lot of people that may not necessarily be using the ISOs and are just going to be using it as a powerful field mixer.
Right.
But they have that capability there in case they need
Sure.
it.
Cool. Well, John, can we check in with you at some other day on some other month to find out what else is going on, or what the 664 has evolved into?
Sure, certainly.
Thanks for your time today.
All right.